Ladies and gentlemen, first off, sorry if my audio absolutely sucks, but as you can see, I'm not where I usually am because your boy is in Florida now, unfortunately. So 3 hour time difference. Josh, while we're filming this, it's 5:30 over there, 8:30 over here for me. So
Hmm.
definitely gonna have some trouble with the time difference, but we have found a time to record. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Emerald City Sports, the podcast. Um, it has not been the best few weeks for Seattle sports. That's really the only thing you really have to say for this. Um, and there's one team that is really bringing the majority of the pain and suffering, and that is the Seattle Mariners. Josh, last episode we were worrying. This was like maybe a month or so ago. We were worrying about the Mariners having a decent lead in the AOS and how, with the Mariners track record, they're probably going to lose it. Well, we were right. It happened. It happened. It took them 24 games to lose a 10-game lead in the AL West, which is honestly just absolutely embarrassing, for one. And number two, this just makes the team, like, this just means, for one, Service is probably going to lose the locker room. Many of the players are no longer motivated, and your season is completely collapsed at this point because it's going to be really hard to fight back from such an embarrassing streak that you lost. Josh, how do you feel about this? I know you've been taking it really hard, dude.
Yeah, this past month has been a stretch. And before I talk about it, let's mention. Do we have to change the name of the podcast to Tampa Bay Sports,
No
the
way.
podcast,
No
and this
way.
is hosted on Buccaneers
Never.
Martin?
Never.
Got to change the branding and everything.
No chance. It's never going to happen.
Well, I mean, part of the reason why is because of the rough schedule we had that past month, and the this saying that we actually can't play well against good teams. I mean, that's part of the reason why we had a 10-game lead was because the Astros and Rangers were literally playing each other and we were playing easier teams. But since then, we've played against the Guardians who've been really hot. The Orioles who've rise almost near the top of the EL East, I think. The Blue Jays kicked us, and then we actually lost 3 out of 4 to the Angels heading into that All-Star break, which is actually kind of depressing. We're literally losing to basically a AAA team at this point now that Otani's gone and Mike Trout is warming the IL for basically this entire season. And then as soon as we get home, we just blow the lead to the Astros. And I mean, Service can't really lose the locker room because now we actually have a bunch of new players taking up that locker room instead, to lose their faith until before ownership might pull the plug.
Like you said, Josh, new guys are entering the locker room, and that is because the Mariners have started to shake things up in a way. Injury wise, I mean, Julio and JP are now on the 10-day IL, so that's just a big blow for your starting lineup. I mean, your face of the franchise allegedly, and then your team captain both on IL. Really is going to take a hit, especially on the field also because now don't have your rock in the infield, you don't have your rock in the outfield, and then on top of that, Ty France was moved to waivers, and I believe he cleared waivers today. So we don't have Ty France anymore, which is kind of weird to process because a lot of people always think of Ty France like he'll be in a Mariners uniform, but Ty France has been really, really disappointing, honestly, since last year. So in a way, you could sense it coming, but it still feels like a bit of a shock because a lot of people thought, Ty France will be in a Mariners uniform for the rest of his career. Josh, how do you feel about what happened to these three players?
Oh, you kind of cut out for. Were you talking about Thai France, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just bought a jersey of Thai France recently, so
No.
uh, that sucks. But um, yeah, it felt like the wrong move at the wrong time of things. I mean, it's a little bit. He is glazed a little bit because he's a fan favorite and because of like the whole hit by pitches kind of thing. Um, I think he wasn't that bad, and it feels like are we actually gonna do something to replace him? Are we actually going to make a move on the trade deadline? Probably not. It gives me a glimmer of hope that we will, but let's be real. The trade deadline is in a week from now. That's probably not going to happen, and now we have to fill up our lineup in with AAA players, and we've seen that gap between the AAA players and our starters is massive, and it's going to take time for them to adjust into this environment, which means we're gonna start losing games, and then we're gonna build a deficit that we can't come back because the Astros and Rangers they don't choke any games. So
Uh-oh. Looks like looks like Josh's mic is there. Even with the move, we still have our technical difficulties. So we'll give Josh a second, see what happens here. But like Josh was saying, I mean, Ty and just this team in general, the thing that separates them from like the Rangers and Astros is that we are the ones that choke the most, while they are able to at least finish their games. And it honestly sucks that we keep choking because the pitching has still been able to produce solid quality starts. And look, the bullpen definitely questionable at times, but if the bats can't get going, I mean, there's only so much the starters in the bullpen can do, and the bats are doing absolutely nothing, and that just leads to just choke after choke after choke. So definitely a bad direction for the Mariners. Hopefully, Josh's mic is working now. Uh oh. Dang. All right, looks like your boy's gonna have to ad lib a little more. Um, while Josh gets the rest of his stuff going here. I mean, with the all, we could talk about here about the All Star game. Obviously, not a surprise that not many Mariners made it. I mean, Logan Gilbert and Andres Munoz, really the two players who have been producing a solid job throughout the first half of the season. And I mean, I don't even think they got to play in the All Star game itself, which it is what it is. Um, but then to come back and then blow your lead to the Astros and then lose to the Angels. I mean, yeah, this team is just on a downward spiral right now. I don't even know if it's rock bottom yet. Like, people might say it's rock bottom right now. Might be a few more weeks until we actually hit it. We'll see what happens. Uh, man, for first episode in a new spot, and the same technical difficulties. Epic, epic. Um, I'm pretty sure Josh can hear me, but I mean, if Josh wants to try using a different headset or with like a mic or whatever, maybe it could work out. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. Um,
this work.
oh, there we
Hello,
go. There we go. He's back.
my mic. So this thing is just a prop at this point. So screw this.
Dang.
Let's get on
Okay.
the.
Throwing a mic is crazy. Just don't make sure you don't permanently break it, Josh. All right, Josh, you can go back to what you were
Yeah.
talking about. You ended at Rangers and Astros don't choke while the Mariners do. If you would like to elaborate on that, please continue.
Just, I mean, Well, yeah. At the end of the day, they can actually finish games because, as you said, our bullpen sucks, and they actually have the Rangers have clutch hitters when Astros you could they just have the energy that comes from all the booing. For some like Altuve, I was at the Mariners Astros game last week. People were booing at him still relentlessly, and then he just does a um like a short bunt and gets on base, and then we commit an error because of Ty France. Um, to score runs and lose that Friday game back from the All Star break. So I mean, obviously they're better teams on paper. They're better teams. They're the better teams on the field, and we need to find some way somehow to compete with them. And going into our farm is not a way to do that.
Yeah, if going into the farm is not a way to do that, Josh, how do the Mariners fix this team?
I mean, it's either what they've been doing this whole time, which is waiting for better players to develop into the farm. Which not the other option, obviously, is to sell the farm or sell even more of these fan favorites or some of these veterans to pick up what could be okay hitters at the deadline. I mean, Jazz Chisholm Jr.'s on the market, but people are asking a lot for him. Luis Robert Jr., I heard at one point the White Sox were even asking for the same type of deal as Juan Soto, which is not a good idea for the Mariners. Give in for someone. I mean, as you can see, the market with the Juan Soto trade and free agency, things are just going to be wrapping up, and we have to give the money either today or tomorrow because at some point we run out of these minimum league deals, and that's actually kind of a similar situation to the Seahawks way back into 2010s. We ran out of those rookie deals and actually have to pay money, and at some point the Mariners need to do that.
Great take there, Josh. Now let's go over to the Seattle Sounders. Um, record wise, I mean, solid, I guess. I mean, 10-7 draws, 10 wins, 7 draws, 8 losses. They're at the 7th spot in the Western Conference right now. Josh, how have the Sounders been panning out in your point of view?
It was all going great until last weekend. Let me tell you. So we go on a 5 game winning streak, 5 straight wins, which is very hard to do in this league. All at home. We advanced to the semifinals and into the U.S. Open Cup. Um, but then our last game before this All Star break, we get crushed 3-0. And that's in part because they used the same exact strategy that got us eliminated last year, and we could not do anything about it. They pressured us early, we made mistakes, and they scored goals. Though I will say the ref for that game was absolutely horrible. He missed too many. I mean, the VAR room too. They missed very what could be penalties, but they passed it off of not enough contact or whatever. When I think, in my personal opinion, those would be fouls. So a little bit of controversy there that could have changed the game, but it puts us in a bad state heading into the break. Um, which is actually another tournament, the League's Cup, which is going to last a month long against Minnesota United at home. So really, I don't really care that much about the tournament. There isn't a lot going into this tournament. So if we get bounced early, that would give us enough time to prepare for our next MLS game, which isn't until August 24th. That's right. We have a whole month. If we lose 2 games by the start of August, we would have 3 weeks to prepare um, against Minnesota United again, and then our against LAFC again. So just a lot of prep and a lot of stuff that we can do because let's be real, the Sounders are going to get bounced in this tournament. Um, we're just not that good.
Interesting way to put it, Josh. All right, so like you said, they've got a good amount of time. So if you're right, if they do get bounced, I mean, good amount of time to like rest and practice, and then come back to the MLS on the 24th of August. Now, do you really? So I heard was like you wouldn't mind them getting eliminated early. Just a little bit of awkward
Yeah.
silence there. Now I'm messing with you, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tournament created 1 year ago, made for Apple TV, and Messi just won the whole thing. Yeah, yes, he's hurt now, but we're playing against Mexican teams that are really good. There's not, other than maybe a CONCACAF, or the only thing up for grabs is a CONCACAF champion spot, which isn't really worth it because if we just win the MLS Cup, we get it, and we already qualified for the Club World Cup, so there's actually no point in winning the Champions League anyway. So there's not a lot of point on doing well in the game. I would like them to advance far, but if they get bounced, it's not. There's no like
It's not the end of the
heartbreak or there's
world.
gonna be like it's not the end of the world. Yeah.
I see what you mean there, Josh. Um, Internationally wise, I don't know if you've been keeping up with like you know the Euro Cup or whatever. Did you watch that at all, Josh? And if you did, how did you feel about the English or Spanish final and whatever it was?
Yeah, so both the Euros and then the Copa America, which this year encompassed all of America instead of South America, happened on the same exact day. I watched both the finals in the entirely. I watched a assortment of all the other games. I will say the quickly out there, the U.S. men's in the Copa America, that was absolute disgrace, and I'm happy they fired Greg Berhalter, their head coach. That was an amazing move. Should have done it a lot earlier. Um, Euros. I was cheering for Spain. Um, they kept it. I think they controlled most of that game. Actually, it was more of a deadlock, 0-0 at the first half, but Spain was able to hit some strides to win that game 2-1. And capture the crown. And then in the Copa Americas, it was delayed 3 different times due to delays happening because of fans trying to rush into the stadium. Gates were broken. People were sneaking into the vents. In due to capacity restrictions in these fans without tickets coming in, and during the game, Messi got hurt in the 60th minute with really swollen ankle, which will take him out of MLS play for a while, including this Leagues Cup tournament. But in the end, Argentina won still, and they'll play against Spain next year in the Euros versus Copa agreement game kind of thing.
For the Euros, Josh, were you moving at all while you were watching it? If you get the joke,
Yeah, I was
you were
I was watching
moving.
the semifinals before.
Oh,
No, no, I wasn't moving. No, okay. I wanted that game to happen. As I was watching the semifinals, I wanted both England and Spanish to win so that you could make that joke. But I did not expect that joke to be played against me on this podcast. So
okay, the England celebration after their one goal was pretty funny though.
yes, it was very funny.
All right, let's go over to the Olympics, which happens in only a few more days. I mean, this is the hype. It's not as big as I feel like it was before, but it's still the Olympics. It's still a huge event. The whole world will be watching. Josh, let's go over to the basketball portion of the Olympics. You've got the women's basketball team and the men's basketball team. What is your take on both teams, and how do you think they'll play against the rest of the world?
Let's start with the women's team. So they haven't. I don't think they. I haven't been keeping up with their preseason that much, but I think the biggest thing is that yes, it's an exhibition game, but they lost to the WNBA All Stars, which was kind of funny. They lost. They lost to the best the U.S. basketball team, including Caitlin Clark, which I get it. Why she wasn't on the team. Anyway,
She probably took
they've
it
rebounded
personal in
today. They
that
beat.
game.
Yeah, she probably took it personally. Yeah, I agree. Um, but this team is going to be with, I would say, a lot of older veterans, which might be a little bit of a negative. And the women's space, international space, is a lot more closer than the men's, so a little bit more competition for them as they begin their Olympics. Now, the men's side, you got the Avengers here. Let's be. I think we should call this era the Avengers. We got the Dream Team, the Redeem Team, the Avengers here. They've been keeping it close on their exhibitions, pretty close. They won all 5 games right before the Olympics, um, by 6 points or less, including only a 1 point win against South Sudan, and then only a 4 point win against Germany. But they got the job done. A win is a win, but they're not as dominant as previous years for obvious reasons. The rest of the world is developing, so it will be actually kind of dramatic to see if these Avengers can actually win.
Yeah, it is. You definitely pointed it out. It's a lot closer than it has been in the past few years. That South Sudan game was really, really interesting. I mean, it came down to a LeBron buzzer. I'm not even a buzzer beater, but like he had a game-winning layup near the end just to get them over 100, which was, going in, you're thinking, no way it gets close with South Sudan. But South Sudan, like you said, the countries have been developing. South Sudan definitely has been. So it is going to be exciting to see how well the U.S., with their Avengers and veterans, and they are all veterans. We'll see how they can play with the way the rest of the world has grown in the sport of basketball itself. So you're right; it's going to be definitely exciting to watch. Let's see if the U.S. makes it to the final, because this year a lot of teams are giving them a run for their money. Josh, Olympics. I mean, there's so much going on, so obviously you got to have at least one hot take. Josh, what do you think might happen at these Olympics that most of the world might not agree with?
Oh shoot, you cut off. You kind of cut off at the end there.
Oh, okay. Here. Um, what is your hot take for the Olympics? Think of an opinion you have about any sport that's going to be played and what you would think the rest of the world may not agree with.
Hmm. Let's see. How hot do I want to take this? Um, oof. I don't think the men are going to win the gold.
Wow.
I think that's my hot take here. From what I've seen, is that international growth has gone really high. I am rooting for them. Um, um Unlike the rest of the countries, the LeBron and Steph and all these players, they've been actively playing against each other. Obviously, international rules are a little bit different. That goaltending, it's less restrictions on goaltending, which means more bigger players, like really big centers and such, can dominate that play rather than these shooters. Because Steph Curry can hit a free from bag. But with these restrictions on or less restrictions on goaltending, some time, and that would mean less points for the U.S. In all these close losses, when it looks like they're trying really, really hard. I mean, that ended the South Sudan game. They were trying their best just not to get uh upsetted live on a preseason game, not even the Olympics. This is just a warm up, and so there's a possibility the pressure's gonna get to them, and I think that's what they're gonna get to them. I think they're gonna be silver or most likely possibly a bronze.
I got to agree with you here, Josh. I mean, I don't know if the US team, as much as everyone says the Avengers and they're going to be world champs, I don't know. You're right. I mean, that South Sudan game really raised concerns. Again, it's preseason, but like you said, they looked like they were putting a lot of effort just to not get upset. And with the way the rules are, the differences with goaltending and all that, like you said, this definitely will bring an advantage to the other international teams instead. So I agree here, Josh. I feel like they're gonna get upset maybe in like the semis or something and probably finish with the bronze. Um, if you were to pick a winner in the men's basketball tournament, though, who would you select? Which country would you select?
It would probably be who has the best chance of taking down U.S., which would be Serbia, because of Nikola Jokic and how good Serbian basketball has infiltrated the NBA. They have the big man, they have all the tools. They actually lost to the U.S. by 8 points, which is more than half of the U.S.'s uh wins. But I think that's the team who I would pick to upset the U.S.
All right. My hot take personally, I have two. I have one that's like mild-ish, and then another one that is like probably if you know what I'm talking about, you probably get triggered. Um, Number one, my like mild hot take is gonna be in track and both of them are gonna be track and field. Um, First one is Sydney McLaughlin, the 400-meter hurdle star. I'm gonna say she breaks the world record again and runs a sub 50.5 in the 400-meter hurdles. I mean, she's got Femke to really push her, and that's what I think is going to really drive her over the edge and be the true goat of women's track and field. I mean, she's a beast. She's only what 24, 23, 24, 25, something like that, and she's already broken her world record like three, if not more times. It's absolutely insane the things she can do, and she's coming. She came back from injury, and still was able to break her 400-meter world record, 400-meter hurdles world record again at the Olympic trials. So definitely think something insane is going to happen at the Olympics. Femke is going to push her to her limit, but she's going to be able to break another world record because of it. Now, my really hot take in track and field, I'm going to say Fred Curley upsets the entire world and wins gold in the men's 100 meter. Look, hear me out here. Fred Curley,
Mm.
everybody's been doubting him. I think he's going to take it personally. He's going to go back to his 2022 form where he was world champion, and he's going to upset many, many people, including Noah Lyles. So I think Fred Curley pulls out the upset of the century in track and field and gets an insane dub in the 100 meters. But yeah, that's my crazy hot take. No one thinks Fred Curley's gonna win, so might as well throw it out there that it could be a possibility. You never know. Many things can happen in the 100 meters. Um, Josh, anything else you want to add to this podcast before we're off the air?
Mm, nope.
All right, then that will wrap it up for this episode. New setting. We're gonna get used to it really quick. Hopefully, my mic comes back soon, and then the audio will be decent again. But for now, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you. A lot of things are gonna be happening in these next few months. I mean, you've got Olympics. There's gonna be whoa. We almost forgot to. We almost skipped over football. Josh, the NFL one,
Oh,
the NFL 100 top 100 list came out. Like, okay, no one cares about the top 100 list anymore because it's just stupid. Let's be real here. The way the players vote is honestly just dumb. And that just proved it this year because Aaron Rodgers, who you all may remember for playing 4 snaps last season, and then tearing his ACL or Achilles, he ended up as player number 92. Played 4 snaps. 4 snaps for like 17 seconds or something like that. And
yep,
he
17 seconds.
and he is somehow the 92nd best player in the league this year. 4 snaps. You just got to play 4 snaps and you're in the top 100. Josh, how do you feel about this?
Well, you players don't have to don't select 100 players. They actually select a list of, I think, 25, right, to choose from. And you're telling me that a bunch of people picked Aaron Rodgers as part of their top 25? Like, seriously, it's not even 100. They based 100 off the top 25 list, and you pick Aaron Rodgers to write down. And it's not. It's just overall why he's. Yeah, I don't think people understand this. It's just weird.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Like Aaron Rodgers, career wise, definitely in the top 100. Not even a question. But we're talking about this past season. It doesn't make sense, especially for like someone like on the Seahawks, Julian Love, who got 95. I mean, this guy just was an amazing safety for Seattle last year, and he ranked lower than Aaron Rodgers. Absolutely insane. Yeah, the NFL's and the players just gotta think a little before they, do these things. I mean, the fan outrage was, expected and absolutely justified. So it just doesn't make sense. It's absolutely insane how people end up on the list when they shouldn't be on there at all. Um, yeah, it really is just insane. It's definitely a bias. But I mean, in NFL, you got to get used to it at some point. I mean, you can see the biases are happening everywhere in the NFL with like the Chiefs and the whole Taylor Swift thing, and then with star players like Rodgers and back then Brady and all that. So expected, but absolutely ridiculous. All right, I think that covers the rest of it. Um, Thank you for listening to
Yep.
Emerald City Sports the podcast. Like we said, we'll get used to this, time difference and new setting, and hopefully my mic comes soon. Um, but don't forget, it's still the same podcast, still the same thing. No Tampa relocation channel change. No, it's still Seattle. It will always be Seattle. It will always be the Emerald City in the Pacific Northwest. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us 5 stars, things like that. Thank you for listening. We'll see you guys next time. Hopefully Jacob comes back this time. But we'll see what happens. I mean, lots of sports that are going to come up in the next few months. Like we said, Olympics are happening soon. We've got the NFL season starting back up with training camp and all that. MLB season is going to be hitting the home stretch eventually. And then you've also got the MLS and just a lot of things going on. NBA will be coming back soon. So exciting. We'll see you guys because we'll be here for it. Um, Really nothing else much to say. Just stay tuned to Seattle Sports, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see y'all next time.